What uppers? How's it going? Welcome back to the show. This is You Made Roscoe, and I am Roscoe. And today we're going to be doing a reaction to the video that is titled "The Time Larry Bird Schooled Dennis Rodman." And that is interesting, seeing that Dennis Rodman is considered one of the greatest defensive players ever, But yeah, no, Larry Bird school Dennis Rodman apparently. So we gonna be checking this out. But before we do that, I do want to ask for anybody who hasn't that they please subscribe to the channel. Also make sure you hit the notification bell. Also make sure that you go over to I think it's Sports Direct or something like that is the page. Well, I'll figure it out and then put it in the description or something, but that's not important, right? It is important to support the people who we're getting this content from. That is important, but as a matter of fact, it's so important that we're gonna make sure we do this the right way. So let's take a look. It is Sports Direct, and as you can see, I'm subscribed. As you can see, so I'm not just talking, but yeah, no, let's make this large again. But yeah, no, we're gonna be checking out this video of Larry Bird and Dennis Rodman. Let's go ahead and start it.
Things can get pretty intense. So let's rewind time and talk about the time Larry Bird schooled Dennis Rodman in their Celtics-Piston game back in '87. It was pretty evident when Larry figured out how to tackle the worm in this game, because Rodman looked like he was genuinely struggling a lot. With LeBron James and Kevin Durant becoming two of the best offensively talented small forwards in NBA history, it's easy to forget about Larry Bird. This definitely shouldn't be the case, since Bird would absolutely beat up any opposing defenders no matter what time he played. His game was all about the smallest details and most complicated parts of being on offense. Everything about his game that day was so cool.
Ray Williams down low for Bird, who feels it,
Got
takes
him.
it, and
Got him.
drills it again. He's unbelievable.
From a slight jab to a cross, from a fake pull-up to a real mid-range shot.
And a feel up in number 5, please.
Is that the TBS bandwagon?
Larry Bird not only took shots the most NBA players could only dream of taking, but he also made them with a ton of accuracy, which, if you don't know already, is a pretty big thing in basketball. To put things into perspective, Larry had two 50, 40, 90 seasons in a row from 1986 to 1988, with an average of 29.9 points per game in 1988. But his game against the Pistons has got to be one of the most iconic, and that's also primarily because Dennis Rodman was struggling to catch up. No doubt Rodman is one of the best players to ever defend the ball on the court, and his time with the Pistons is the best example of this. I mean, that is, of course, if you don't look at the game he had against Larry Bird. It wasn't that bad at the end of the day, honestly, because at the beginning, Rodman did a good job of guarding Bird. He went after him face on and got a few deflections. This is when Larry Bird stepped it up, because he figured out how to deal with Dennis in just a few possessions. Bird started taking him off the ball more, and when he pulled up right through Rodman's chest, making it hard for Rodman to compete. Bird was very good at breaking down his opponents, and his game against Rodman was no exception. But what makes Larry's play even more cool is the fact that he was going up against a pretty good player, and he crushed him. During the 1990s, at one point, Rodman was the second most popular NBA player in the world.
I think it's a coincidence that Longley and Rodman come in off the bench, and immediately you see an offensive rebound.
that was a different Dennis Rodman than the one that Larry Bird was facing, but I'm gonna push it back just a little bit right there. I'm gonna push it back right there. And when they talk about Bird being able to abuse, well, not only abuse, but pick out weaknesses that he can attack with Dennis Rodman in a few possessions. Watching Larry Bird and Michael Jordan and other guys who had very, very high basketball IQs really made me understand like how to be able to attack weaknesses. And you can take this, you can take this beyond basketball, but learning how to be able to size up a situation and then say, okay, maybe I don't have him or can't beat him in this regard, but I could do this or use these moves. And he's breaking down everything. Like when they talk about like going into his chest and all that, like we talking about nuances. This dude is like looking at everything like, yeah, like a computer or something, so yeah, no, let's keep it going.
Him off the ball more, and when he pulled up right through Rodman's chest, making it hard for Rodman to compete. Bird was very good at breaking down his opponents, and his game against Rodman was no exception. But what makes Larry's play even more cool is the fact that he was going up against a pretty good player, and he crushed him. During the 1990s, at one point, Rodman was the second most popular NBA player in the world.
I think it's a coincidence that Longley and Rodman come in off the bench, and immediately you see an offensive rebound. Rodman throws Longley down.
And a label like that obviously comes with some substance attached to it, so there's gotta be something there, right? Rodman was also a threat on defense because he had the skill and pure willpower to compete for every play. This made life very hard for the players who would compete with him. Rodman took a while to get used to playing against the best players in the NBA though, especially Larry Bird, and he had to learn some things the hard way. Back in the day, the Pistons and the Celtics were bitter rivals. They played each other a lot during the regular season and the playoffs, and Rodman got to see for himself how good Bird was when he was at his best.
Had to go in the game, Bird.
So in this case, it's kind of understandable also why Dennis has some beef with Larry, and he even admitted to something surprising when it came to this rivalry. In an interview, he said, "Man, I was just so green behind the ears." Apparently, he wasn't really aware of how bad the rivalry between the two teams was. He just wanted to go out there and play. But then he saw the way the other players before him reacted to the rival team, and that did intrigue him a bit. But the point where he got to experience the friction firsthand was when he played in the first game between the two teams in 1986-87. He said he tried his best to go after Larry Bird, but it didn't work out too well. And actually, Rodman ended up learning a thing or two from Larry. Here's the weird competitive part. Throughout the game, Larry would go up to Dennis and ask him, "Are you guarding me?" I mean, come on, that's just some petty behavior. Bird really stuck the knife in though, and at one
that was petty. That was petty, but that's how Bird, that's called mental warfare. That's what he was on. It's like, man, I'm trying to do everything, mental attacks, all that. But let's push it back and let's keep it going.
Larry. Here's the weird competitive part. Throughout the game, Larry would go up to Dennis and ask him, "Are you guarding me?" I mean, come on, that's just some petty behavior. Bird really stuck the knife in though, and at one point he went up to the Pistons head coach and asked him to send in someone who could defend him better. Yeesh. If you think this was the end of the friction between these two players, you're wrong, because after this game, there was an incident where Rodman was told to apologize to Larry Bird for making racist comments. The Rodman-Pippen apology was shown on ESPN's The Last Dance. After Bird and the Celtics beat the Pistons in Game 7 of the 1987 Eastern Conference Finals, Rodman was asked in the locker room what he thought of Bird's play. According to a report from the New York Times back then, Rodman said Bird was very overrated and had won 3 straight MVP awards only because he was.
Are you soloing your boss's house to see what she paid? Awkward.
Was white. Okay.
Commercial came right right before, but yeah, no, let's continue.
Whoa, those are some pretty big words. But honestly, I'm no professional, but even I know asking a player about their opinion on another player in an actual locker room while he's clearly heated up is a pretty bad idea. When Isaiah Thomas heard about what Rodman had said, he said that he had to agree with him. Thomas said that he considered Larry to be super talented, but there was some truth in what Dennis was pointing out as well, and that at the end of the day, if Larry were black, he'd be just another good player. Thomas later said that he was joking, that he knew Bird well, and that he had a lot of respect for him. But the backlash Dennis got for saying these things about Larry grew over time. So, soon after this locker room talk came out, Rodman apologized for having said those things about Larry. During all of this, you're probably dying to know what was Larry's reaction, right? Well, Bird said he understood where Rodman was coming from. He talked about how he also has been there after tough losses. In the heat of battle, you never know what is said off the record, and so whatever Dennis said was understandable. In good news though, Larry said he had never been a dude to get bothered by things like that. Everyone is going to have an opinion and say what they want to say, so Larry thought it's best to just go about your business. So it seems
And see that's when you talk about mental toughness, that's what it is right there. It's just one aspect of it, but a big aspect of it. like really not caring and not focusing in on what other people are saying and what other people are doing, because you know who you are, you know what you're capable of. Dude, and I have that mindset, but there's a lot of people who that all of their motivations are moved by somebody else. And I'm talking about, this goes deep. This goes into like who people marry and how they live their lives, their lifestyles. All this is based off of, worried about what people around them are gonna say. And Larry Bird's not built like that. But this is the last time that I'll stop this. I will push it back just a little bit more. Let's do that. And then that stuff about what Dennis Rodman said. I did a video before where I've commented on some of that stuff before. I just forget which one in particular, but you could probably search through like my sports reactions and basketball highlights, more than likely sports reactions, and you'll see which video it is. You'll be able to figure it out some type of way. But yeah, no, let's finish it out.
also has been there after tough losses. In the heat of battle, you never know what is said off the record, and so whatever Dennis said was understandable. In good news though, Larry said he had never been a dude to get bothered by things like that. Everyone is going to have an opinion and say what they want to say, so Larry thought it's best to just go about your business. So it seemed like the entire situation wasn't exactly as bad as everyone thought it would get.
The basket, Bird, the trailer. Yeah!
After the anger had died down and tempers had cooled at least. But I'm also pretty sure these two players aren't besties with each other either. At least whatever rivalry they had didn't escalate at this point, so there's that. And it wouldn't escalate in the future either, because sadly, this was the last time both of these players played against each other during Bird's reign. The Celtics and Pistons played each other again in the 1988 Eastern Conference Finals. But the series wasn't as intense or physical as their first matchup. For the league, this wasn't necessarily bad news because it seemed like they really wanted to avoid the violence that happened between the two former champions. You should know, though, that throughout his career, Bird also had problems with other players. I mean, Dr. J versus Larry Bird is probably one of the most famous fights in NBA history.
And look at
Jay hitting Bird as he's being held from behind by Barkley and Moses Malone.
After this fight, neither player was suspended. Oh, how times have changed. Aggressive plays and talking shouldn't really be labeled as bad though, because this was just how players like Bird and Dennis Rodman learned to win. Players like Dennis Rodman are basically hockey thugs, and stars like Larry Bird fighting back is now a relic of a bygone era. Alright, that's all for the time Larry Bird schooled Dennis Rodman.
That ending part, the way he described that about Rodman being a hockey thug and your man Bird being something else other than it's crazy. That reminds me of like how media does, like how they screw with people with the way that they word things, but it is what it is. But that was the time Larry Bird schooled Dennis Rodman. And I'm gonna push this back so we're not on this screen at least. Let me do that. When I want to catch Rodman, it'll be nice to catch Bird somewhere up in like.
Bird, and you had to learn some things the hard way.
All right, let's scooch it on. There we go. All right, so that was the time that Larry Bird schooled Dennis Rodman. And that was a very interesting video. I'm more than certain that I've seen like a game or two at the very least where they got to match up against each other. And Dennis Rodman in his Pistons days, he was like super energetic. Like even though like all of his career, it would seem he was like that. But I mean, he was like a bunny rabbit. Like he really, really was a bunny rabbit. Like in his younger days, he was just hopping all over the place, and it was like watching a deer, just high stepping. It was crazy with this dude, but he was a great defensive player, but Bird was just another level type of player when just like some of those things I already said about how he's able to break down players using different things. So yeah, no, that's what made Bird different. It was more than just the skill, it was the intangibles. That's what made Bird, the intangibles, because that a trillion people have come into the game and been able to rebound and score and assist and do all of those things. Like we've had a lot of those dudes, but how many of those dudes had all those skills along with not just the IQ but the toughness and the awareness? It's just all these different things mixed up into one. But yeah, this was a good video. This was good, but I'm gonna leave, but before I do, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the share button, hit the playlist option or options. I already named the sports reactions and basketball highlights. Those are the two playlists that I'm putting this into. So you'll be able to see this and everything else that I've reacted to that's in those playlists. I do have playlists for other things. A lot of that stuff is music related, but I got a lot of other stuff. That's just a comparison to how many videos I have in total, which is over 3,300 videos. That's 3,300 videos plus, that I have up to this point, so yeah, no, a lot of stuff. But Cash App, $ you made Roscoe, PayPal at you made Roscoe. Super thanks option is available for those who like to show their support or appreciation for what's being done on the page. Any donations will be made to any of those spots. And that's it. That's all. I'm done. I will see you again soon. So until next time, be safe and be good.